First developed in the 1980s by British scientist Alec Jeffreys, DNA evidence and testing is now considered to be the gold standard for identification in contemporary society by William and Johnson. DNA evidence has the ability to delve into criminal cases and find the keys for solutions through an individual's genes. This evidence can take many forms such as blood, hair, skin cells, and other bodily fluids, all completely unique to each person. DNA evidence is acknowledged as a breakthrough within the judicial system, and according to Bond and Phil, this material is now collected routinely from crime scenes for a wide range of offenses. It is regarded as a key to success in investigating and detecting crime. Once sufficient collection has been carried out, DNA evidence is then analyzed using the polymerase chain reaction, or PCR method. This process makes it possible to analyze minute samples within the labs. Following the sample tests, the DNA is now considered ready to be cross-referenced within a large database of DNA profiles, or in contrast, it is now ready to be compared to evidence given by suspects. To Mark Jobling and Peter Gill, forensic DNA analysis is key to conviction or exoneration of suspects and the key to identification of victims of crimes, accidents, and disasters. Despite all the benefits to the judicial system which DNA evidence boasts, equally troubling issues of ethics and misconduct arises. One of the biggest issues present with the use of DNA evidence comes with the accreditation of investigators. Bond and Phil studied 5 DNA sources: blood, cigarette ends, saliva, chewing gum, and cellular evidence, found at burglaries over a period of 3 years. This was analyzed to determine which underlying factors played a key role in the solving of the crime. For all 5 sources, the accreditation of the investigator significantly affected the outcome of the DNA match, with the accredited investigator having between 15.3 and 44.8 times more likelihood of converting a DNA match to a detection than a non-accredited investigator. It was found that mobile DNA, such as cigarette ends and chewing gum, require more skill on the part of the investigation officer to convert into a detection, in comparison to DNA evidence such as blood traces found on the scene. Specific DNA types which proves to form the most difficult cases for CSEs is understandably cellular profiles. As Bond, Phil, and Hammond states, evidence of a cellular nature has a considerably less efficient conversion rate than others. Following this, an accredited CSE is 6.3 times more likely to recover saliva that produces a profile. In the UK, over 24,000 DNA cellular samples were submitted for profiling by UK police forces, which represent 30% of the total number of samples submitted for all DNA sources. The success rate of this cellular profiling, however, was significantly less, at only 10%. As Bond and Phil writes, the failure to convert DNA matches to detection through inexperience will have the reverse effect on investigating officers, and indeed all those concerned with the collection and processing of DNA materials from crime scenes. This is not only a poor use of resources, but additionally will increase the likelihood of a miscarriage of justice towards the general public and the innocent. Putting greater care towards the education and training of investigators and officers, whilst also acknowledging one's existing abilities in contrast to the case at hand, will greatly benefit the solving of this issue. Another issue which brings forth questions of privacy and ethics is the utilization of the UK National DNA Database. Despite being created in the hopes of reducing crime rates and therefore serving the well-being of the general public, throughout the years the UK NDNAD has provoked many ethical, privacy and safety issues. William and Johnson claims the subsequent ability to construct digital representations of profiles and store them within a continuously searchable computerized database can be dangerous. Drastic changes to the laws regarding DNA evidence within the UK came following the introduction of the 1994 to 2003 law adjustments. Firstly, it was made possible for law enforcement to obtain DNA samples without consent from anyone charged with any offence that is classified as recordable. In 2001, this was further extended to allow police to obtain DNA samples from individuals without consent, even if no charges were made towards them. The most concerning factor to these two changes is that samples obtained are kept permanently by the companies that analyze them, and the DNA profiles and personal data, such as names and ethnic groups, are kept permanently in the national database. This can be seen as an extreme violation of safety and privacy by the government, as individuals who have committed offences to any degree, such as petty theft or murder, can be sampled and recorded. Furthermore, the general public does not have any say in how and where these DNA samples may be used. As Wallace regards, there is nothing to prevent future research without consent using either the nDNAD or samples for purposes such as searching for genes for criminality. An example of future directions to be taken by the UK to solve the issues which arise from DNA use within the judicial system can be seen through many of Scotland's sample collection and privacy policies. Scotland's Minister for Justice, Cathy Jamieson, states, "The serious civil liberty implications of police retaining prints and samples of the innocent and unconvicted is something to be addressed to maintain a safe public and authority relationship. To maintain the safety of the public's privacy, samples can only be taken and kept in the instance of involvement in crime, and these samples must also be removed if a person is acquitted, and permanent retention is forbidden. Additionally, individuals may choose to voluntarily give prints and samples to clear their names in crimes in instances such as police sweeps of an area. Moreover, samples taken in this manner can only be stored and used for future use with written consent of the person from whom they were taken." In stark contrast to the UK's permanent DNA sample retention, in Scotland 2004, 37,166 fingerprint samples were added to their database. However, over 58% of these samples, or 21,493, were removed within the year due to the lack of convictions on these individuals. By adopting these measures, the nDNAD can greatly reduce issues which arise within the judicial system. By collecting samples with consent to law enforcement's highest capabilities, it creates a stronger form of trust between the general public and law enforcement and helps to prevent wrongful use of DNA. Wallace succinctly concludes, "The creation of an independent, transparent, and accountable governing body would do much to restore or increase public trust in police use of DNA profiles and samples." By researching into the comparative topic of DNA and forensic science, I discovered the various ways in which many nations address the same issue. For example, choosing to set my jurisdiction as the UK for these assignments, I discovered the dangerous evolution of DNA databases and its permanent retention of digital profiles on the public. In relation to cultural relativism, I understand that the ways in which Australia handles its DNA collection and storage will differ in comparison to that of the UK. However, within the duration of these assignments, it was surprising to witness the repercussions of these laws and how a solid topic such as crime can have such varying interpretations even within Western culture. It was also startling to discover the domino effect which a nation as powerful and as influential as the UK can have on policies across the nations. For example, George Pataki, New York State Governor, also wished to mirror the actions and policies of the UK when it comes to DNA sample collection, proposing to retain samples from individuals charged for any misdemeanor. Additionally, various other states in America were putting forth propositions to take DNA samples upon arrest. These findings led me to believe that despite the fact that each nation creates laws and policies to fit their ideals and way of life, one cannot halt the influence these actions may have on other nations. This can be alarming when laws such as DNA collection without consent, an action which is widely regarded as a violation of privacy and ethics by the public, is mirrored throughout the world. Overall, through the opportunity to explore a topic which I've looked at with curiosity, I was able to learn how comparative, relative, and susceptible criminology is to the current views of society.